How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I'm an avid herpetologist, and I have a very special video for you guys today. I am here to share with you a project that I've been working on since all the way back in 2007. It is with tremendous joy that I would love to introduce you guys to Firewall. Now, card games have been my hobby of choice pretty much my entire life. All the way back in middle school, I thought it would just be the coolest thing if I could make my own card game. Back then, I started with pieces of construction paper and a pencil, and I drew the best I could. I'm most certainly not an artist, but I didn't know a whole lot about card games. It was still just a pipe dream. Every couple of years, I would go back to the idea. I would fine-tune things a little bit as I learned how to actually play different competitive card games. I learned how to balance mechanics a little bit better. I learned the things that I wanted to see in a trading card game. And ultimately, I was able to combine them all into this idea that I've finally developed to the point where I am able to bring it to you guys where it is playable fully for free right now on Tabletop Simulator. And at the end of the video, I'll talk a little bit more about that because I have now reached a point in development where I am looking for people to help me play test my game, and I'm hoping you guys are going to be willing to help me with that. Now, before we get into anything else, I want to address what is going to be a very big elephant in the room. Yes, the artwork that I have currently used for the game is made with AI art generators. With that being said, this art is not meant to be permanent. It's meant to be placeholders so I can make usable prototypes. So you guys have something pretty to look at, and I have something pretty to look at while I'm working on playtesting the game. I do not condone for commercial use of AI art. I'm not going to be making any money off of these prototype versions of the cards. Ultimately, these are just here to make the game look nice, look flashy, so you guys have something fun and interesting to look at while I'm in the playtesting phase. Ultimately, this is a game that I would like to develop further if interest is there. So ultimately, where I'm coming from, if this video does well, if you guys try the game and you really like it and you want to see me develop it further, the idea is that I could either crowdfund, GoFundMe, I could do something to try to raise money to properly commission art for the card game. I would really like to do that. Unfortunately, I do not have the artistic ability myself, nor do I have the funds to pay official artists right now. Not even mentioning the fact that this game is largely untested at this point, and quite frankly, I don't think it would be a smart financial decision for me to commission official art for a game that isn't even properly tested yet. So we're currently at the stage where I'm trying to prototype the game, and I'm bringing it to you guys to see if you're willing to help me with that, as I've mentioned. If it does well, I would absolutely happily pay proper artists and commission artwork, but it's something that I would have to crowdfund. It's not something I would be able to do myself. AI art, I know, is a very controversial subject. I don't mean to contribute negatively to that conversation in any way, shape, or form. I view it as a tool, and quite frankly, it is the last big hurdle that I had in order to get this game to a point where I could get it playtestable. So I'm hoping you will at least understand that this is something I am not condoning. I'm not making any money off of the AI versions of these cards. It's just there to look nice, so you guys have something pretty to look at while I'm working on playtesting the game. With that out of the way, I want to spend the bulk of this video talking about how to play the game, kind of explaining the background of the game itself, and hopefully sell you guys on the idea. So if you're up for it, I'd be more than happy to play some games with you guys on Tabletop Simulator. So let's go ahead and get into the game itself. All right, first let's set the stage. Firewall is a virtual battlefield. Think of it kind of like a digital space where you can use what are essentially data chips, represented by the cards, to scan in and materialize constructs to do battle for you. You can kind of relate it to like Season 1 of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime and the dueling fields that they used. The field is comprised of 4 vertical columns, each 2 rows deep, with the front being the front line, and behind it, the reinforcements. The objective of the game is to break all 10 of your opponent's shields and declare 1 additional direct attack in order to win, a mechanic similar to the Digimon TCG, One Piece, Duel Masters, and a few others. However, getting there is going to be a bit more of a challenge. When summoning constructs to the field, they'll be summoned to the front line. However, if you already have a construct occupying the front line of a particular column, you can also choose to summon it to that card's reinforcements. Cards in the reinforcements cannot attack, cannot be attacked, and will ultimately move to the front line if the space becomes vacant. In order to be placed in the reinforcements, the construct must share a construct trait with the card on the front line. The use of reinforcements is going to give you a little bit of additional field space, while also giving you some extra strategy to toy around with, since some cards you're going to want to protect and keep in play for as long as possible. Speaking of constructs, let's talk summoning mechanics. Each turn you have 4 energy units that can be spent to perform different actions, and these units will expire at the end of the turn if they go unused. While primarily these are going to be used to summon constructs, there are also other effects that require certain amounts of energy in order to use them. Each construct card has an energy gauge, which displays how much energy is required in order to summon it. You'll also see a list of its traits, whether one or multiple, and its stats, which consist of attack and defense. During a turn, you can use your energy units however you wish, whether to summon a single large construct or multiple smaller constructs. The choice is very much up to you. Now, as you might expect, some constructs have an energy cost higher than the 4 that you have to work with each turn. To bring these out, you'll need to perform a reroute summon. As I mentioned, you can think of constructs like computer files. So as not to overload the system, it can only process so much data within a set amount of time. If you want to render a larger file, that is to say summon a more powerful construct, it's going to require rerouting the power from other constructs you have in play and using their resources to properly render the larger card. All constructs with a cost of 4 or below are worth a single energy unit when rerouted. However, constructs in play worth more than 4 will also grant additional energy units to you, helping you level up into even bigger cards. So a 5 cost unit rerouted will generate 2, a 6 cost will generate 3, so on and so forth. But to perform a successful summon, the energy you generate must be exact. You can't reroute an 8 cost in order to summon a 6 cost. Once summoned to the field, your construct receives a grace period. While active, a grace period ensures your construct cannot be selected as an attack target. It will still be affected by other abilities and can be selected as the target of various other card effects, but attacks cannot be declared at a construct with an active grace period. However, there is no summoning sickness in this game. If you wish, you're free to attack with a construct as soon as it's summoned to the field, but upon attacking, you forfeit the grace period and it expires immediately. Any active grace periods on your field will automatically expire at the beginning of your turn. So ultimately the choice is yours if you want to be defensive with your constructs and leave their grace periods active, hopefully settling for something larger on the following turn, or you can choose to be aggressive, attack immediately, and leave yourself open to crackback. When selecting attack targets, your constructs can only attack shields in their own respective column, a straightforward assault. You also cannot attack shields if a construct is blocking your path, and the final attack to win must be made in one of the 2 center columns. With that said, construct combat is a little more flexible. When attacking other constructs, you can declare your attacks at any column you like, but remember, only constructs on the front line can attack or be attacked. When an attack is declared at a construct, battle damage is inflicted to the defender's defense stat equal to the attack value of the attacker. If after the attack the defense stat is at 0, either because it was already there or from damage, the card is then destroyed. Constructs can naturally have a defense stat of 0 and still remain on the field. They will only be destroyed if the stat is at 0 or less after a battle. If the attack strength of your attacker isn't enough to destroy the defending construct, battle damage is then inflicted, and you must destroy one of your shields from the same column your attacker occupies. This means that you have the ability to whittle down larger constructs with smaller ones, but there's a price to pay for the action. As the game progresses and columns become devoid of shields, these may serve as great places to drop extra attackers that you wish to use for chip damage, since the cost would no longer apply. While some constructs have no effects, many bring abilities to help shape the game just like in any other card game. Most will be self-explanatory, but there are a few keywords in the game to keep note of. First, we have Spell Shield. This ability makes it so the construct is immune to the effects of your opponent's script cards, this game's version of spells or actions. These cards can still be selected by the scripts, and will still be affected by other cards' effects, but the text on a script card cannot alter the spell-shielded construct in any way. Next up, we have Reinforced, which basically means the construct is immune to battle damage. In order to destroy a reinforced construct in battle, you need an attack power equal to or more than the defense stat of the reinforced card, basically just meaning you won't be able to chip away at the defense stat of these particular constructs. It's an all or nothing deal. Mythical means that you can only have a single card with the keyword in play at a time. If you control a mythical construct, you cannot attempt to put another into play unless doing so would remove the previous mythical card. My personal favorite keyword is Colossal. As you might expect, these cards are massive, and as such will take up additional space while on the field. A Colossal construct must occupy a total of 4 spaces, 1 in front and the 3 directly behind it. The card is considered to be occupying all 4 of these spaces at once, and all field-related mechanics that you might assume apply to this absolutely will. Shields cannot be attacked through a column that is occupied by Colossal, no additional constructs can be summoned to the spaces since they are considered to be occupied, and the Colossal construct can declare an attack at Shields in any of the 3 columns that it occupies. Since it necessarily requires all 4 spaces to be occupied, it also means that a Colossal card can only be summoned to one of the center columns, and only if all 3 required spaces in the reinforcement zones are properly empty. There are some other mechanics to the game, but for a full comprehensive list of all the keywords, you can feel free to check out my rulebook, which I'll be continuing to update with clarity as needed, and I'll explain where you can find it at the end of the video. Alright, now that should just about do it for the constructs, but we have a few other card types to talk about. Let's start with script cards, the actions that you can take using cards that you have in play. Script cards come in 2 varieties: programs, which can be used on your turn during your action step, and viruses, which can only be used during your opponent's turn. All virus cards will specify when and how they can be played. Script cards will always require an origin, which determines which of your constructs will be taking the action. The requirements for the origin are always going to be specified, and while most are strictly asking for a specific trait, others can have more in-depth requirements. Some script cards can have stronger or weaker effects depending on the origin using them, so knowing when to use these actions and when to save them can be crucial. There are also scripts that will simply specify the player serves as the origin, and these obviously don't require anything particular in play and can be used at any time. Actions in Firewall are taken on a 1-by-1 basis, so the turn player takes an action, the opponent has the option to respond with a virus, and once everything finishes resolving, the turn player can choose to take another action, and the window reopens. Please note that this means multiple viruses cannot be used in succession of one another. The next card type to talk about is equipment, which can range from weapons and gear to simple traits that you can bestow upon your constructs. Each construct you have in play can hold 1 equipment at a time unless otherwise specified, and equipment can only be given to constructs with the proper trait specified on the card. Not all traits specified on the equipment are required, and the construct can have traits not specified on the card, so long as at least one of the needed traits is printed on the desired construct, you are good to go. Lastly, we have arena cards, which function kind of like field spells. All arena cards have an activation cost in order to play them from your hand, and both players can have a single active arena on the field at a time. If you would like to replace an active arena with a new one, you can do so by destroying the currently active arena in addition to paying other costs. Once active, an arena will continuously apply its effects, whether it be passive stat buffs or abilities which the player can utilize during their action phase. Next, let's talk about drawing cards and hand sizes. You'll start the game by drawing 6 cards, and at the beginning of each of your turns, you are going to draw back until you have a full hand of 6 cards again. This means that every card you use from your hand will be replaced on the following turn, so be as engaged and proactive as you like. Obviously, the best part of any card game is taking actions. Just be careful not to drop a crucial resource at the wrong time. Lastly, if you start the turn with a full hand of 6 cards, you always have the option of rebooting. Rebooting is Firewall's version of a mulligan, so since you start the game with a hand of 6, even on the first turn, if you don't like your hand, you can choose to place those cards on the bottom of your deck and draw a fresh hand of 6. Now, if you've ever played a card game before, I'm sure you've experienced the dreaded bricked hand, and I don't want that to be a pressing concern for people playing Firewall. So as mentioned, if you're beginning a turn at any point in the game with a full hand of 6, rebooting is always an option. If you find yourself getting gummed up or don't like your available options, you're always free to simply eat a dead turn, play nothing out, and when the turn comes back around, you can reboot away and get yourself a fresh hand. The last thing we have to discuss is the deck building process. A Firewall deck can contain between 50 and 60 cards, and the number of copies of a card you can include in your deck will depend on its rarity, which is indicated in the top right corner. A deck can include up to 5 copies of each common, 4 of each uncommon, 3 of each rare, and 2 of each super rare. This should hopefully help to ensure that some of the most powerful cards in the game are natively kept in check, while allowing for some cool power plays at the same time. There are also cards with a golden 1 in the corner. These are foundation rares, and are generally the most powerful cards in the game. Not only can you only include a single copy of these cards in your deck, you can only include a single foundation card in your deck, period. There are a range of options to choose from archetypal support to generic power spikes, and the card that you choose to serve as your deck's foundation rare could help sculpt your entire strategy. And that's pretty much it as far as basics of the game. As I mentioned, if you are interested in trying this game out, it is available free to play as long as you have access to Tabletop Simulator. In the description of all of my videos, I include a link to my personal Discord. In the Discord, you'll have access to my Google file that I've got set up, where you'll find a ton of available pre-constructed decks for Firewall that you are free to use, as well as a blank deck that you can use to custom build something if you feel so inclined. Also included in the Google Drive, you're going to find my full gallery of more than 400 cards that I've already designed for the game, all of which you're free to put into a deck and playtest to your heart's content. If people do start playtesting and I start getting feedback on things that need to be adjusted as far as power or mechanics, I will be updating the Google Drive with updated erratas and things of that nature, so it will be live service for the time being. And honestly, if you'd like to join, I would be more than happy to hear any positive and negative feedback you have on the game. Like I mentioned at the top of the video, this is a game I've been working on for a really long time, and I am really happy to finally be able to share it with you guys and my audience. Now, if the reception to the game is lukewarm, that's okay. If this video doesn't get traction or the game just doesn't seem interesting, that's alright. This is a game that I put a lot of time and effort into, and if it just stays a personal pet project, I'm totally okay with that. But I think the game has a lot of potential to be a lot of fun, and I'm hoping you guys will be willing to help me playtest and let me know what you guys think about it. As I've mentioned, I already am thinking about next steps, so if you guys really like the game and you want to see me developing it further, please let me know that. I would absolutely love to continue developing this game and try to get it somewhere a little bit more professional. I'm really happy with the way that things look right now, but things can always be improved. So again, give me your feedback. I really hope that you guys enjoy the game, and that's pretty much it. I also want to say a big thank you to the guys from my locals, friends of mine, who have been helping me with playtesting the game now that I actually have some physical prototypes made up thanks to thegamecrafter.com. You guys have been a big help. I really do appreciate all the feedback that I've already gotten, and if it weren't for you guys, probably wouldn't be making this video. So again, thank you guys so much. And honestly, if it's something that you guys are wanting to see, like what some gameplay looks like, I'm more than happy to post some physical gameplay. Maybe we'll get some footage here in the next couple of weeks or so. And if it would be helpful to you guys who want to be playtesting the game, I'm also more than happy to make a video explaining in detail how to actually make a deck and upload everything directly to Tabletop Simulator. But if you do have any questions about that, for the time being, again, feel free, please jump into my Discord, link in the description below. I will absolutely be happy to walk you through it. We'll get you there. With that, guys, if you have stayed this long, seriously, thank you so much for indulging this awesome project of mine. I've had a lot of fun working on it. Hope you guys enjoy it. And with that, guys, I have been an avid herpetologist. If you have any questions at all about the game, leave them in the comments, ask me in Discord. And with that out of the way, guys, I hope you have a fantastic rest of your night, and I will see you all next time.